They wanna know how I got the gig. How I got the gig. Elmo wants to know how I got the gig. My left and your right. We have one of my favorite bass players in all of the land, Mr. Miles Mosley.
How you doing, brother?
Dude, I'm really good, man. Happy to have you here.
Thank you for having me.
I got a burning question on my mind.
All right.
How'd you get the Lauryn Hill gig?
I got the Lauryn Hill gig after playing with a group called Dakar, which was a mainstay in Los Angeles. Dakar is basically it oscillated between a 40 and 60 person hip hop orchestra. So they would take all the classic hip hop songs from Illmatic and Jay-Z stuff and all the samples, they would play them live. So it was a full orchestra, hip hop. Actually got to work with Mos Def through that group as well. And
how do I see this group?
Well, it was around in Los Angeles clear through the early 2000s and has somewhat disbanded or turned into a bit more of like a quartet, octet kind of thing. It's by a phenomenal conductor named Double G. Amazing cat. They had people that handled that group, some managers, and Lauryn Hill is notorious for running through groups somewhat frequently, at least at that time when she was really trying to find a good band that was a good fit for her. Mm-hmm. She knew that there was a large pool of musicians to pull from out of Dakar, and these guys sort of asked if anybody was interested in coming down to this session, and it was all real hush-hush. And so they reached out to my manager, and I went there, and lo and behold, in this house in Culver City, which is a sleepy little area in Los Angeles, there was Lauryn Hill. And there was this list of things you couldn't do. You don't look her in the eyes, and don't say her name, and make sure you call her Miss Hill. And so there's this kind of a nice little laundry sheet of things you had to know before even meeting Lauryn Hill. And so I went in there with my bass, and we played a bunch of Bob Marley tracks really, 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 really fast. And she wrote everything down. She wouldn't speak to you per se, which I was fine with all that stuff. I mean, you can be as weird as you want if you're good at what you do and you show, symbiotic respect. I kind of got the gig on the spot. So then almost immediately after that, it was, who did I know? And here's what I want to do. I need 4 guitar players, 2 piano players, 2 drummer, percussion player, a full horn section. Do you know anybody? I was like, I know the West Coast Get Down. We could bring most of those cats in, and you'll probably have the kind of band you're looking for. And she had a few musicians that she had already sourced that she wanted in that band. But essentially, I became the MD for that group shortly after getting the gig, just because I'm a highly organized person and I can write charts pretty fast, and she would change things up really quickly. And I learned a lot on that gig, and it was one of the most formative gigs I've ever had, just because it was such a challenge to keep up with her workflow, particularly the way she wanted it. Mm-hmm. She liked to have us learn the entirety of songs so that she could then essentially be a DJ within the band. So you learn all these songs perfectly, and not just hip hop songs either. We'd learn everything about Over the Rainbow, and then we'd take I Know the Way to San Jose, and then we'd take Iron Lion Zion, and we'd learn every single note and transcribe it and spread it out over this whole band. And then she'd go, cool, I want the bridge from that, the verse from that, and the chorus of that, and put them together. Then you have to change all the keys really quickly. So it was...
Which is a pain in the ass, but so dope at the end.
I mean, every other gig, MD-wise, was a breeze from that point, because nothing else was that taxing.
Nothing will ever touch anything like that.
And you know what? Here's my favorite part about playing with Lauryn Hill. Miss Hill. In the entire time, I swear, she never sang one wrong note. Even if she had never heard the arrangement or the song we were playing, she's never off. She's never wrong. She's significantly better than everyone else in the room, all the time.
And she's surrounded by great people.
And she surrounds herself with great people most of the time, I would assume. She's certainly picky enough about who she wants in her band, but she's spot on. Her talent is it's grotesque almost. Like, you're that good at everything all the time without even trying. It's crazy. She said, get it, go get it. My mama said, get it, go get it. If you got nothing but me, baby boy, you got all that you need. My mama said, get it, go get it. My mama said, get it.
How did the West Coast Get Down get started? Because, I mean, huge fan of the West Coast Get Down. If you don't know the West Coast Get Down, you need to get down and go see the West Coast Get Down piano bar, or with Kamasi, or with wherever you are.
Yeah. Well, that's the interesting thing about the group, is that it's essentially a revolving platform of musicians that grew up in Los Angeles in the 80s. Tony Austin on drums, Ronald Bruner on drums, myself on bass, Steven Thundercat Bruner on bass, Kamasi Washington on tenor saxophone, Ryan Porter on trombone, Cameron Graves on piano, Brandon Coleman on keys.
You guys all went to the same high school.
See, in Los Angeles, we had all these like super group multi-school bands and all that kind of stuff. So many of us went to the same high schools in batches, but we're all part of the same honor bands or multi-school jazz bands that were around at that time. We had Clinton as a president, so there's a lot of money going into programs, programs that help teach kids how to play music. And actually, my manager today is a lot of the reason why most of us stayed together and knew each other in the first place, because she started the Thelonious Monk Institute on the West Coast. So she would go into these schools and find who she thought were talented kids and put them together.
Wow.
And put these little groups together. So
She's a music angel.
yeah, exactly.
Wow.
So she's our guardian angel, and so thank you, Barbara.
Shout out to Barbara.
We've all been at it for, a little over 20 years.
Dude, it's so exciting and inspiring to watch you guys play, always, always.
Thank you.
And every time I don't go, and then when I do go, I'm like, why didn't I go every single time? I feel like this is like this pool of knowledge that I should just be like swimming in.
Yeah, it's been cool to have the spotlight finally shine our way. A lot of us worked on the Kendrick Lamar record, and that did really well, and that helped to shine a light on the Kamasi record, so that helped that go out.
I mean, dude, those were two of my favorite albums of the year, for sure.
Yeah, this year was a pretty good year of music. We did the Kamasi record. A lot of us were on the Kendrick record. I did the Andra Day record. She's a great singer. Mm-hmm.
Yeah, she's got a Grammy nom right now.
Yeah.
And everything.
So this was a good year for music of a particular variety that doesn't pander to people per se, and just believes that people can smell quality, and trusts that there's an attention span a little bit longer than.
Mediocrity is everywhere. No, baby, not here.
I think that anytime in the cycle of things, there's going to be a natural reaction to whatever's going on. So if we are inundated with short bursts of information and everything is a 15-second commercial, or the hook's coming in 30, if it's always like that, the natural reaction, the natural recourse is to go to things that take a little bit longer to develop, and have music that has as much faith in the listener as the listener has in it, and isn't afraid that the next button is going to get pushed. And also I think that it helps that vinyl's back, and even cassette tapes are back. So just things that rob you of the ability to jump around too much. So I think also that people have a lot more, are a lot wiser, because they can reach so many different styles of music so easily, and test drive things a lot quicker, and trends are spreading a lot faster. And so that's new. You used to be able to sit on secrets, and you can't sit on a secret for too long, because it's on video somewhere.
No, yeah.
Like, I'm trying to figure out this vocoder sound for a song we're doing for BFI, and if this was before the internet, I would never realize that it's not a vocoder, it's a talk box, and if you go look at like that Zapp and Rogers stuff, you can see, there's a tube. Okay, so if there's a tube in his mouth, then that's not a vocoder, that's this talk box thing, so I can check the exact keyboard, and I can amass all that gear in an afternoon and get that sound. So like hoarding secrets, you can't do that anymore. So it makes everything really wide open. I think that's a beautiful thing.
I saw you with Kamasi Washington a couple times on this tour, which was incredible, with both Tony and Ronald on drums, and it's like the whole giant setup on stage. The ensemble is incredible. But your bass solo, man, your bass solo wasn't just a highlight for me. It was a highlight for strangers in the audience too. Like, because you aren't a bass player, bro. I mean, you are, but it's like that's like limiting to call you that. Like, you're such a musical player, and you just can go out while keeping it just exciting.
Thank you. Yeah, I've spent a lot of time. At some point in time, I realized that the upright bass has been the same for 500 years, and that there was room to do something to it. I have names for my basses, of course.
I know you do.
So the old bass, that's Big Mama.
That's Big Mama.
Big Mama don't like loud noises. She don't like cussing. She only drinks on Sundays. The star bass is the bass I'm going to play for you. That's like a real young buck, right? Because Big Mama's like 200 something years old.
Legitimately 200 something.
And the star bass, that's young. It's basically a skateboard as far as like the wood that's on there and how thick it is. Like, it can take any kind of battle. So it likes loud music. You can spill beer on it. It doesn't matter. And then I have but it stays at home because it's painted piano black, which is a grueling process. So you have to do all these coats and sand it, and it takes hours and hours, days and days to do. Then I have my battle bass, which is the same as the star bass, but has no coat on it whatsoever. So anything that happens to it, that's what it looks like.
Yeah, I love that.
So, I've these are like my friends that I travel around and experience things with, and it's a blessing to be able to have someone who knows how to make instruments, for the modern era, so that I can do what I do and really make a mark, and not just to be able to accomplish what needs to be done on bass, but also step out and add something to the music that no other instrument can.
Mm-hmm. Well, man, thank you so much for coming out, man, taking the
appreciate
time.
it, man.
Miles Mosley, you better Nosley.
Yeah. I never heard that one before.
I just wrote it right now.
Wow.
Yeah, thanks, man. You can use that.
I'll put a pin in it.
See what Barbara thinks.
Okay, I'll run it by.